tonight here at Lupton Stadium. And what do you want to say? Here with Frogs today for the start of a 3-game series against Kansas here at home.
We'll be here every Friday for a pregame show, and we'll recap the series on Sundays live from this desk on frogstoday.com and the Frogs Today YouTube channel.
Now the Frogs are approaching Game 3 of 5 here at home, where TCU is looking to start off this series with a win against the Kansas Jayhawks.
That's right, and in the last matchup between these two teams, TCU dominated offensively in all 3 games of the series against the Jayhawks. TCU outscored Kansas 53-11 in their last series in Lawrence back last season, and will be looking to repeat this energy on offense at home today with the services of Braden Taylor and Austin Davis. Eyes will also be on Luke Boyers tonight on offense with a multi-RBI home run in both of the last 2 games this week. These guys have really stepped up for TCU this season and changed the energy for a team that has been in a little bit of a slump since their number 12 preseason ranking.
Now, speaking of pitching, starting on the mound today for the Frogs is former Kansas Jayhawk Ryan Vanderhei. He's facing off against his former team. Now, with 5 home games in 6 days, TCU has done a great job keeping track of the pitch count for each player and keeping them healthy, preparing them and letting them recover as well for this upcoming series against Kansas. We spoke to Ryan earlier this week on his thoughts and emotions going into this game against his old teammates. So stick around for that. We're going to show that segment a little later on in the show.
But first, Frogs Today spoke with TCU head coach Kirk Saarloos and heard his thoughts from the win over Northwestern and what that means for the team moving forward. We'll hear from him down on the field right after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU, both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
At Higginbotham, we put people first. So we simply start by listening to you. Whether you're searching for customized insurance, HR, or financial solutions to protect your home, car, health, business, or employees, our specialists are here to serve you, the people you care about, and your success. Higginbotham. Insurance, HR, and financial services. Inspired by you.
For exclusive interviews and content on TCU recruits, subscribe now at frogstoday.com. Any sport, anytime. It's your source for all things TCU. Only on frogstoday.com.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the pregame show here with Frogs Today. I'm Olivia Lee, joined by my co-host Tristan Smith, as we're here in Lupton Stadium awaiting the 6:30 p.m. first pitch against the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, on Wednesday, following a 9-1 win over Northwestern, I spoke with Coach Saarloos about his reaction to that win, as well as what this means for the Kansas series coming up. Let's have a listen.
Well, when you play Tuesday and Wednesday, coming off a weekend series against Oklahoma, you need your starting pitchers to get you deep into the ball game. You know, because you've utilized a lot of guys out of the pen over the weekend. So, obviously Chase Hoover went 7 strong innings, and then Braden Sloan went 6 tonight. So, it cuts down what the bullpen's responsible for. So we only had to cover 5 innings out of the bullpen over the last 2 games, and that's critical in terms of being able to make sure that we're keeping guys healthy, and a couple guys that haven't pitched a bunch with River and Garrett. Was nice to see them get out there again today. I think anytime you come off a series loss against Oklahoma, you want to get that taste out of your mouth and get back in the win column and our big thing is we have to stay, in the process of how do we win games. It's about playing good defense and having timely hitting and getting good starting pitching. And so, I think, winning 2 ball games midweek, I think puts you in a position, at least mentally, going into the weekend where you're pretty confident. Yeah, I think, you got to be really good 1 through 9, and I think, different guys have stepped up. Luke last 2 days have had a great offensive performance leading off for us, and Cole Fontenelle hit a big home run today, and so we just need to be tough outs 1 through 9. You can't have lulls in your lineup. You're trying to do things where pitchers don't get a break when they feel they get past a certain part in the order, and so the better that we can be collectively as a team offensively, the more opportunities you're going to have to score runs.
It's always great to hear from Coach Sarlos. And like he mentioned, Liv, only having to cover 5 innings out of the bullpen in the last 2 games is so big for this team going into a long homestand. Huge move for it in the week like this one. It'll allow the Frogs to approach this Kansas series with a strong pitching lineup, starting with none other than Ryan Vanderhyde, the former Jayhawk.
Now, speaking of pitching, Tristan, what do you see from both Sloan and Hoover on the mound that really impressed you, as well as allowed this team to keep the pitch count low against Northwestern and come out on top with them just scoring 1 run in the end?
Well, Liv, in a long week like this, coming up with a homestand on the weekend, 2 games during the week, longevity is everything in pitching with this long homestand. Little rest in between games like the Frogs have this week. Looking at Hoover's body of work against Abilene Christian on Tuesday, while a decent amount of his pitches landed outside the strike zone, resulting in balls in the first few innings, he continued to work his stuff. He painted the corners, forced grounders or pop-outs instead of taking risks by heaving it a little bit more down the middle inside the strike zone. Now, consistency was key for him maintaining his rhythm as well, too, because he only faced more than 3 batters in 1 out of his 7 innings that he pitched. So that ensured that ACU just couldn't get a rhythm established throughout the game.
Yeah.
Now, what I loved from Sloan on Wednesday night was that his resolve and his ability to recover, was impeccable.
Yeah.
In his previous 2 starts against UT Arlington and Texas State, he didn't make it more than 2 1/3 innings. He allowed UTA to kind of play small ball on him in the inning that was a huge scoring inning from it, just snowballed all the way through. And he got tabbed for a combined 9 runs in those starts. Now, against Northwestern, he went ahead and picked it up a little bit. He didn't let 2 allowed singles and an RBI shake him in the 3rd inning. After letting them put up a run, he focused in and produced 3 quality innings, not giving up a single run or hit and walking only 2 batters.
Yeah. I mean, impressive looks from a freshman pitcher, right? Sloan really showed himself on the mound up there, and TCU is going to rely on pitching like that to get them through this home stretch. And like Sarlos mentioned, it's really important to keep these pitchers healthy, working on their prep and recovery, and just really keeping them focused on the long stretch that they have to face here against Kansas now for a 3-game home series. We're going to head to a short break, but when we return, we'll hear from Ryan Vanderhyde himself, as well as Frogs Today's very own Ray Cartwright, coming up next on Frogs Today. Stay tuned right after this.
For exclusive interviews and content on TCU recruits, subscribe now at frogstoday.com. Any sport, anytime. It's your source for all things TCU. Only on frogstoday.com.
Dave's Hot Chicken is a cult favorite and now has 2 locations in Fort Worth, Bryant Irvin Road on I-20 and Berry Street at TCU, both owned and operated by Horned Frogs. Mention the Frogs Today show and get 10% off anytime and order online at daveshotchicken.com.
Say hello to the water of tomorrow. Richard's Rainwater. Richard's Rainwater is 100% rain, refreshing, renewable, and the only ingredient we use in our water. Why rain? Because everyone deserves access to clean water, and rain is a 100% renewable resource available everywhere. Drink the rain. Save the planet. Shop now at richardsrainwater.com.
At Higginbotham, we put people first. So we simply start by listening to you. Whether you're searching for customized insurance, HR, or financial solutions to protect your home, car, health, business, or employees, our specialists are here to serve you, the people you care about, and your success. Higginbotham. Insurance, HR, and financial services. Inspired by you.
Welcome back into the Frogs Today pregame show, right here in Lupton Stadium. We are just a little over a half an hour away from first pitch. versus the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, being TCU's second Big 12 series of the season and Kansas's first, these teams are in a high-stake position to win and improve their records.
And like we mentioned earlier, Ryan Vanderhei is faced up against his old teammates here in Lupton. He's wearing a different uniform this time. We spoke to him after the Northwestern game and discussed his thoughts and emotions going into this series as he's matched up against his old teammates. Let's take a listen to that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's exciting. I mean, I spent the last 3 years there. I've got a good bond with a lot of the guys on the team. I mean, new coaching staff, a lot of new guys, but I'm excited to see some of my old friends and old coaches and staff members. So, I mean, excited, but it's another day at the ballpark, man. Got to go out there and compete just like any other game. Yeah, I mean, it made us hungry. I mean, we just won the last 2 games. I think we've kind of came back and made a statement, both offensively and defensively on the mound. And I think we're looking to roll that into this weekend, and hopefully it goes well for us. I mean, our strength coach, Coach Dakin, does a great job about that. I mean, we're in the weight room getting soft tissue, rolling out, getting all of our stuff loosened up, making sure we're all nice, lubed up, ready to go. Our great training staff back in there with Weedy makes sure we're all getting our treatments and making sure everyone's all ready to go. Because, I mean, if we don't do that, like you said, you're going to break down. Because we do this almost every week. It's 4 or 5 games for the entirety of the season. I mean, playing at a high level, you got to keep your body it's like a working machine. You got to keep it oiled up. So we got a great staff behind us, and they're doing a great job keeping us healthy.
You know, it's great to hear Ryan's thoughts post that Northwestern win. And with the pitchers having such a long week, having kind of a positive look going into this series against Kansas is going to be important. Now, he's got to be feeling a little bit of pressure, right? Wouldn't you think, going into this series against his old teammates? What do you think's going through his head right now as he's out there warming up to start on the mound for TCU?
Well, you know, it's got to feel just a little bit eerie. I mean, one season ago where you spent 2 to 3 years of your career, you're up in Lawrence, Kansas, which is a lot different from here in Fort Worth, Texas, a lot different of an outlook. But, you know, as he kind of talked in his interview that we conducted with him, it's just another day at the ballpark. So I think he's going to have a couple of innings where maybe it's definitely feeling a little off for him, but I don't see in any way that it might affect his production at all in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. And also, we know what we can get from these pitchers. I know in the past couple of weeks we've hit our slump, but it's not anything to do with the pitchers really at this point. If you really look at it, our pitchers have been able to hold opposing batters, regardless of what the final score looks like, to under 200 at batting average the past week and a half, which is something you really love to see, especially since the beginning of the season. The big question mark was pitchers. Yeah. We lost 70% of our pitches from last season. And coming into this year, we have a lot of freshmen that came in, a lot of new faces coming in. And we saw that with our weekday starters this week and our last week stand that we had. And they've played incredibly, incredibly well.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, new faces on the mound, that's always a scary sort of thing to take on as a baseball team, and having them be successful so far and hopefully leading TCU out of this said slump that we've been having is important. Well, we're going to head to a quick commercial break, but when we return, we will be joined by Frogs Today's very own Ray Cartwright so he can break down this Kansas series for us just a little bit more. Stay tuned.
At Higginbotham, we put people first. So we simply start by listening to you. Whether you're searching for customized insurance, HR, or financial solutions to protect your home, car, health, business, or employees, our specialists are here to serve you, the people you care about, and your success. Higginbotham, insurance, HR, and financial services. Inspired by you.
Simply the best barbecue in Fort Worth. Dine in, catering, or drive-through. 2900 Montgomery, just off I-30. Remember, the best barbecue in Fort Worth is at Railhead Smokehouse.
The Flying T Club provides the everyday TCU fan and alum the ability to specifically support TCU student athletes. Flying T Club offers 3 levels of memberships. The Flying T Club is a nonprofit organization supporting the brand development of TCU student athletes through a series of unique event-based networking opportunities, which are exclusive to our members. These events provide a great social engagement tool for our members and student athletes alike. Follow them on Instagram at Flying T Club or online at flyingtclub.com.
Texas-based Happy Water offers the best tasting sugar-free kids drink ever made. Happy Water comes in 4 delicious flavors that you can find at local retailers and on Amazon. Each pouch contains 0 grams of sugar, 0 calories, and 0% juice. Head to happydrinks.com for more information and to purchase Happy Water. That's HAPI drinks.com. Live happy, be happy, drink happy.
Welcome back into the Frogs Today pregame show for this Kansas series here at Lupton Stadium, and we are joined now by none other than our own Ray Cartwright. Ray, how are you doing today? It's so great to have you with us.
I'm doing great. I mean, perfect weather for a baseball game. Sun's out, crowds filtering in. Looks like it's going to be a fun, exciting weekend here at Lupton.
It absolutely will be, and it was a little dreary earlier, so it's
really wouldn't have thought that earlier during the setup. We were worried it was going to rain out on our parade here, so we're looking forward to the sunny day and nighttime pitching and game here that we got going on against Kansas.
We absolutely are. Now, Ray, the Frogs are sitting at 12-9 so far this season after the midweek back-to-back win. What do you feel the Frogs have going for them right now on offense that's starting to gain them some momentum?
I think they're just finally starting to show a little consistency. Maybe, after these first two games of the week against Abilene Christian, that's a really good team. People don't think of Abilene Christian as, such a great team, but they're off to the best start in program history, 16-4, and the Frogs come in and smack them around. Then you have Northwestern come in. Northwestern's down this year, but they took advantage of it and put up 9 runs. So I think that's the key for this Frog offense is just being consistent. The talent's obviously there, right? Veterans up and down the lineup. It's just being able to put it all together, get some timely hitting, and just go out there and play to your potential.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of something like what Coach Charlo said with us earlier this week. It's about we've got to be competitive 1 through 9 down that batting order. So absolutely good.
Now you're starting to see some good signs. Luke Boyers, 4 for 9 this week, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. That's great. But I think the best stat for Luke, only 1 strikeout in those 9 at-bats.
Consistency.
Cutting down the strikeouts. And then, Eli Nunez, he started to flash some, and he's really the glue to this offense. When Eli's cooking, the Frogs are cooking.
Yeah, he brings that energy for sure.
And so if you can get him going, watch out. This Frog offense can show that potential that we saw in those first 2 games of the year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, in the last Big 12 conference match, it was the first one for them against Oklahoma. It was a loss for us. What do you think the Frogs need to do differently in approaching their second Big 12 matchup this season?
So differently, I just talked a little bit about it in the consistency.
Yeah.
Last Friday they go out, put up 13 runs, offense clicking up and down the lineup. You had Cole Fontenelle, 3 doubles, just driving the ball all over the park.
Yeah.
And then you go into Saturday and Sunday, and it's like, where was that team that we saw on Friday night?
Yeah. We needed them.
A lot of weak contact, Not so great at bats. Now, granted, it was cold Saturday and Sunday and very windy, but both teams have to play in that, right?
Right.
And so, just showing that consistency.
Absolutely. And now, one of my questions is, putting this win-loss column aside with the Jayhawks, of course, their record isn't exactly as good as the Frogs is currently standing, but we're facing a Northern team that's only played 1 home game so far this season, while we've played a couple series so far. Does that create anything to be wary of in this series at all? What do you think?
For the Frogs, not so much, right? They're at home. The Kansas, they should be road tested. They've got a new coach this year, Dan Fitzgerald.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from LSU. He was an LSU assistant. But before that, he had stops at Dallas Baptist. So he's familiar with Fort Worth. He's familiar with Lupton. And he's brought some new energy to this program that I think that they're feeding off of.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And one other question I had to kind of follow up with that. This is Kansas's first Big 12 matchup so far in their season. Do you think they're going to bring a different type of energy to this field than we would expect from them, like a fresh energy, some would say?
And that goes back to the coaching hire. Maybe there's a little bit of new energy, but they're also a very fundamentally sound baseball team.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're 10th in the nation in fielding percentage. They're pretty solid.
Wow.
Not a lot of mental errors that you're seeing out of this Jayhawk team. So, they've got something to prove.
Yeah.
After finishing last year in the Big 12, new coaching staff, they want to go out. And of course, TCU has been the top dog the last 2 years.
Yeah.
What better reason than to strike this weekend?
Right, and we've seen it with football and basketball this season for the Big 12. We'll see if it's just as competitive come baseball season as it's been for the 2 other big sports this year.
That's what we're hoping for.
Well, Ray, it's great hearing from you as we look forward to the Kansas series this weekend. We really appreciate your time with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's all we have with us here at Frogs Today, as we are just 15 minutes away from the first pitch here at Lupton Stadium. We will return to the Frogs Today set on Sunday for a postgame show following the end of that game. So make sure to join us live at frogstoday.com or on the Frogs Today YouTube channel. Also, make sure to check out all our content via Instagram and Twitter at Frogs Today. We got lots of good stuff out there, so you don't want to miss it. Again, I'm Olivia Lee.
And I'm Tristan Smith.
And we will see you on Sunday after the game. Thanks, everyone.